to Isinjil TV. Our viewers, Happy New Year. Naula Major in Bole, Ugandan correspondent. It's all excitement in Uganda as for the private workers in regards to the recent presidential communication about their NSSF money. We learned that most of the private workers, as long as you clock age 40, you're entitled to 20% of your NSSF, and this leaves many of them.
For the workers, I want to congratulate you for the gifts that you requested for, which I come to speak to about today. As you are aware, the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, on 2nd January 2022, assented to the NSSF Amendment Bill, and subsequently it became the NSSF Amendment Act 2021.
We are already happy and satisfied enough that we have taken the most crucial step. The President has signed the bill into law. That's already a major impact.
I therefore congratulate members of the fund, and I'm glad the chairman is here with the team, all the workers of Uganda upon this milestone. I want to extend appreciation to His Excellency the President for the guidance that he rendered to us throughout the process of amending this act, and also for assenting to the act in a timely manner, especially at a time when many workers are struggling to make ends meet due to effects of COVID-19 pandemic. As far as the act is concerned, I would like to guide the country. It is important that we guide you on the processes and let the country know what is left to be done for you to access the money.
We will be communicating the best way we can so that it's very clear to all members of all levels of society so that there is clarity. The amount of money we are talking about is about 904 billion shillings that is going to be shared among the members who are actually eligible to access this. So really good people, I would like you to spare your time and wait until we are able to communicate all the modalities and the terms and conditions for implementation of this act.
Therefore, let me guide as follows. 1, the NSSF Amendment Act shall come into force upon publication in the Uganda Gazette in the coming days. We are working with the First Parliamentary Council to, as soon as possible, gazette. I will therefore inform the country in due course as soon as possible when this critical action has been implemented. Number 2, the provision regarding midterm access to benefits by qualifying members of the fund shall come into effect after I have issued a statutory instrument that will guide on the terms, conditions, and procedures for accessing the benefits. So the Act stipulates that the minister must put in place a regulation. That regulation is supposed to clearly state the terms of accessing the benefit, the condition, and procedure. This instrument, once I have issued, has to be laid before Parliament for information. That is what we agreed in Parliament, and therefore the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is working and now in advanced stages of drafting the regulations. Because we anticipated this, members of the fund together with the ministry has been working in preparation to ensure immediately they kickstart the consultation for purpose of ensuring that the regulation is concluded. And by the way, the regulation is not necessarily made only by the minister and the board. We have to consult. So in this process, we have to consult the workers through their unions to give input on how the regulations should stipulate the terms and conditions and the procedure.
So from now on, starting this week actually, we are going to be communicating properly and everything, the various steps we are going to take. What we have built at the fund is an elaborate information and communication infrastructure to make sure that things are clear and concise and simple to everyone.
The ministry will ensure that the act is implemented, and the fund has assured us and cabinet and the president that the fund is available for the about 899,000 plus savers or people who qualify. Because it's not everybody who qualifies, so the number that qualifies, I think is about 900,000, and that's 899 something. But that number which we have the fund that will be able to support them.
Our job is to prove that we as Ugandans, we can be as efficient as possible and effective too in our systems. NSSF is one of the most technologically enabled and data-driven enterprise in this country. So in terms of efficiency, in terms of safety and flexibility, all the guarantees we are providing them.
So I want to restate again who are the people that will benefit, for avoidance of doubt. Therefore, the categories that will benefit from this act are two. The first one is a member who is 45 years of age and above and has saved or made a contribution to the fund for at least 10 years, is eligible for up to 20%. Yesterday someone was asking me, but we are being told it's discretionary on the minister. No, it is discretionary on the side of the worker, not on the minister or the board. For us, we know it is 20% access. But if you come and say, I want less than 20%, that is your discretion. So in the terms and conditions, we'll discuss all those. But as the law stands now, it is the discretion is on the side of the person requesting. But for us, the law says up to 20%. And so anybody who requests for 20% shall be given the 20%. But you are not barred from asking below 20% under the law. The second category are persons with disability, 40 years of age. So for disability, theirs is a little bit okay. It's 40 years of age and above, and has made a contribution to the fund for at least 10 years. And for them again, theirs is a little bit liberal. They have access up to 50% of their savings. So for persons with disability, you're 40 years, saved for 10 years, at least 10 years and above, you can access 50%. The fund, the new act, also gives so many opportunities to the workers and the country at large, and some of the new opportunities which did not exist in the previous act, provisions of the previous act, which is in the new act, is that it has now expanded social security coverage in Uganda, whereby every worker is now eligible to save with the fund. So now every worker can save. In the previous one, it was company or organization, 5 workers and above. But now, every worker. So it has expanded the scope. The other issue is that it is in the Act, the NSS, it has now defined that every employer if you are an employer and the employer is defined in the Act, you are now obliged to contribute to NSSF for your workers, irrespective of the numbers employed. Previously, if you employed 1 or 2 up to 4, you were not obliged to save on behalf of your employee. With the new Act, people who are only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, the employer is now obliged to also save for you. So we have also protected the small macro enterprises that employs very few people. They can now also save for their workers.
Ondari just said the Archbishop Kazimba Mugalu of Uganda has urged the government to make sure that by the end of 2022, street kids should be off the streets. They should do as much as possible, whatever it takes, to ensure that they are cleared off the street and rehabilitated or resettled.
Brothers and sisters, I greet you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, from whom all blessings flow. As a Church of Uganda, we thank God for enabling us to celebrate 60 years of self-governance in April and successfully launching our mission for self-sustainability. We should always learn to appreciate God. You know, it is easier to grumble than to appreciate. If you are still alive and you are entering 2022, you should say, praise God, from whom all blessings flow. I have also witnessed a high influx of street children on almost all busy roads at junctions in Kampala. These are largely minors carrying fellow children, begging, and several of them looking miserable. This should be a collective social public concern as well. I appeal to the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the Kampala Capital City Authority to urgently address this matter. A resettlement plan needs to be discussed and investigations into who exactly brings these children to Kampala. This should be instituted. Really, who is bringing these children to Kampala? These children, are they really coming from homes? Are we just looking on and see children? This is a time bomb for us Ugandans. It should be addressed.
In other news, the RCC for Kampala Capital City Authority has given the vendors exactly 5 days to be off street. The act that has been opposed by the opposition councillors, giving reason that this is close to impossible. The fact that he did not prepare the market vendors for what was to happen next.
We have a challenge in the city that as stakeholders are obligated to solve. We have a serious challenge of congestion where you cannot move and do your business easily because of the crowding in every part of the city. The business community is crying. the residents of Kampala are crying.
As National Unit Platform Councillor of Authority, we strongly condemn and disassociate ourselves from the illegal exercise being carried out by an illegal outfit that has caused the bloody fights on the streets of Kampala, currently in the name of flashing out street vendors. A gang calling itself Smart City, backed by the Minister of Kampala, the Executive Director, and the resident city commissioner, has been terrorizing street vendors, stealing their merchandise, imprisoning some, and masquerading as the law enforcement unit of KCC, which they are not, causing chaos and destruction.
Getting them off the streets is just one of the ways of helping them. Because if you have location where you're conducting your business from, it will enable you to plan better and even grow, as opposed to walking, hawking, moving aimlessly. And of course, we have security concerns. There are people who are taking advantage of the crowdedness, the overcrowding within the CBD, and taking advantage of it, snatching bags of ladies, snatching phones, and involving themselves in all sorts of criminality. So this must be brought to an end.
Wish to note, as National Unit Platform councillors, that KCC has a fully facilitated law enforcement unit, which is not this illegal outfit, and we call upon the police to interest itself in the illegal activity of this group. That is a Smart City. They're using Smart City guys to distract, to arrest, to do everything illegal to these vendors on street.
KCCA has faced a challenge of people who petition the institution because of such illegal operations. Some time back, when the enforcement of KCCA was used, went to Ndeba to market vendors at Butala, evicted them. At the end of the day, we were taken to court as KCCA. We are compensating more than 20 billions as of now. You remember what happened during the reign of ED Jennifer Musisi, when she illegally collected money from tax operators. When the tax operators went to court, by now KCCA is supposed to pay more than 100 billions as compensation. When the Directorate of Revenue at KCCA went ahead to collect revenue illegally from the outdoor advertisers, they went to court. Now KCCA is paying 13 billions in compensation for such illegal operations. What we are saying that it is good, we don't, even us as leaders, we don't want to congest the streets, but we want to apply the law. The law is still in making, is still in the process of legislation. Why do you think that you can remove vendors just within a month, yet they have existed for more than 35 years when Mr. Museveni has been a leader?
We all know that street vending and hawking is illegal. It's an illegality. But this has been the nature of the NRM government, tolerance. And the challenge is that tolerance sometimes is taken for granted, and people tend to abuse the patience that the leadership has exhibited.
Why didn't Mr. Museveni enacted laws, such laws, to guide such processes? So let them wait for the leaders of the city to legislate a law which is called an ordinance, Trade Order Management Ordinance, that will be the lasting solution for such problems. Actually, when this law is out and it is implemented, I will also be against any vendor who will be on the street when he's not following the law.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have leaders in the city. Not only leaders, but we have the elected leaders. We need a stakeholder meeting. This is a national issue now. That vendor thing, vending, is a national issue. We need to sit down as leaders of this city, plus the resident district commissioners, plus the management and the security, to come up with a solution on this matter.
Otherwise, this is a conspiracy between the master of these people who are heading these illegal operations. Don't you know that it is Mr. Museveni who appoints the RDC and the deputies? Don't you know that it is Mr. Museveni who appoints the minister and Minister of State? Don't you know that President Museveni is the one who appoints the ED and the directors of the directorates at KCCA? So the operation is not for the people of Kampala. It's not for the leaders, by the leaders of Kampala. It is an operation by Mr. Museveni. Mr. Museveni is chasing away all the people. He wants themselves to stay. They are the owners of all these buildings. They are pushing back the traders who went out of these buildings because they could not afford rent. Rent is paid in dollars. Someone who has capital of 30 millions, he cannot pay rent and then remain with capital.
It is not a surprise that some of the leaders in Kampala are not happy with this. What do you expect them to? They are leaders who believe that leadership is cheap populism. Whether the people you lead are in the wrong or not, for you are not bothered. All you need to do is to please them. And that type of leadership should be discouraged. We want leaders who are going to be open and guide the masses and tell them, look, street vending may have been tolerated because as a country, as a city, we are still growing. But as we start to develop, it is also to your advantage to relocate in a stationed, place where you have address, where you pay license, where you can even borrow money from the bank to grow your business. Those are the leaders we need, not leaders who are looking for, trying to show that they are there for the people when actually they are injuring the people.
We find this comical, discriminative, and unjust. We cannot have two legal regimes for Ugandans, where some enjoy some rights and others not permitted to enjoy the same. It is unconditional, it is unconstitutional in its discriminative nature, but also deliberate effort to curtail a sector employing thousands of mainly young Ugandans, many of whom have in the first place have denied opportunity elsewhere by the very people pronouncing the restrictions.
We cannot continue to remain in the past. If that has been the nature of doing work, that was then. We must now reorganize ourselves as a country. Kampala is the face of Uganda as our capital city, and we are obligated to organize it. And as we organize it, we are mindful of the nature of people involved in this illegal business of street vending and hawking. We know most of these people are low-income earners. They survive on daily bread. But again, getting them off the streets is just one of the ways of helping them.
We appeal to the management, that is executive director, not only to desist from usage of haphazard methods to solve outstanding issues, but resort to the legal channels by facilitating quick enactment of ordinances that govern city life. The process of producing an ordinance governing markets and street trading in Kampala has been ongoing and protracted and therefore needs expeditions.
Kampala was not created yesterday when we said we want to reorganize the city. No. Some of these leaders have been there for so many years. What have they done to improve the livelihoods or the sources, the means of survival of these street vendors and hawkers? Nothing. They actually prefer the street vendors to remain in a bad state, because anybody who improves will definitely not listen to their lies and will not vote them. But as long as someone is a bit needy and is seen as, you know, they will always want to take advantage of such a person. So some leaders don't want these street vendors to graduate from street vending to doing formal business, and they want them to remain poor. So they will do whatever they feel is possible to ensure that the street vendors remain in that state. For us, we are saying, you know, we need street vendors to graduate from street vending into formal business.
So as leaders of the city, we thought it is very important to demand or to help these people, because they are also human beings. They are doing their work. They're young people, unemployed. Some of those people, ladies and gentlemen, they have degrees, they have diplomas, but they are suffering.
There are people who, by nature, are not organized in their lifestyle. There are people who are shabby by nature. So for you to organize them, you need to do a lot. Even if you tried to say, you see, this is how it should be done, they will always want to live a shabby life. So we are struggling with people that we feel deserve better. But because some of them are led by some shabby leaders, not all of them, but some leaders are shabby, and therefore they are not willing to guide the people they lead to do the right thing.
Solution. What is our solution as the Lord Councillors of National Unity Platform of the Authority? Instead of primitive harassment and stealing of merchandise of these people trying to make a living, as the National Unity Platform, we demand the following. 1. KCC management should implement the Authority Council Resolution of 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, 2017, I was the chairperson of that select committee, and that resolution is there. Actually, the resolution, the council, was on 18th May 2017. We have a solution already there. So we need the technical officers to follow or to implement that resolution, which council decided to demarcate and dedicate some roads, including Allen Road, Sebana Chizito Road, Kafumbe Mukasa Road, for the evening market that would run from 5 p.m. to 4 p.m. as a way to allow people who cannot find space in available markets to trade. It should be noted, ladies and gentlemen, that out of 84 markets in Kampala, only 16 markets are government-owned. Those space is unfortunately at full capacity. They have arrested a number of vendors and they are in prisons. They are in cells. So we appeal to to management to free these people unconditionally, to give them their merchandise back without any condition. Number 3, the Speaker of the Authority should allow the Authority Council, which is slated for January 13th, to address and pronounce itself on this serious matter. That is number 1. Number 2, the border issue in the city. Ladies and gentlemen, the President announced a full reopening of the economy at the eve of the New Year's Day. All restrictions on all sectors were eased, but why not with the border?
That has been the news from Naula Majorin Bole, Ugandan correspondent for Isinjil TV. Like our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Happy 2022. Thank you.